So we're going to talk about data analysis. You know, and we're going to talk about root causes. And they're going to give you a pretty simple one. So data analysis, what is data? Is it information?
Well, it's organized information.
Is it?
Not necessarily.
No. Information is data that's been analyzed.
There you go. So data is just a bunch of stuff that nobody's really been able to connect the dots on. Once you get it all together, then it becomes information, which is then usable. Okay? So while we may collect a lot of things, we may collect a bunch of times. Took them this long to do this, took them this long to do that. But what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything unless we can put it into context and turn it into information that is usable, right? So we need to examine and compare the performance against the targets, and that's we get the data and we turn it into information. Then we can identify the strengths and the areas for improvement based on that analyzed information. Conduct a root cause analysis, we'll talk about that. They give you one example in here, it's pretty easy to use, but there's others. Inform stakeholders of underlying causes within the shortfalls. So that's where we're going when we write an after action report. And we get into analysis of an improvement area. And why is it an improvement area? And when we do these things, we don't focus on an individual. Mary, Johnny, Susie failed to do this. It is the organization was unable to meet this outcome, whatever that is. So we don't focus on people, okay? So what we want to do is give them a good product at the end of the day that is going to help them achieve and give them something to work forward on. So here's an example of root cause analysis. This is the 5 whys. And this is where you just keep asking why. So the food got contaminated. Why? Well, the reefer truck stopped working. Why? It didn't make it to maintenance, its regularly scheduled maintenance.
Why?
Why? So you see, you keep going until you get down to the very end of that line. So that's a pretty easy one to do. There's also...
Release your inner 2-year-old.
So let me give you another one, a quick one. Ishikawa, that's right, fishbone diagram. So you go back to the 70s. Some of you remember the 70s. God, I just dated myself. Sorry about that. I had flashes of John Travolta, you know, Saturday Night Live. Anyway, so Japan used to be known for making junk. Made in Japan, it was junk. It's basically what it meant. And then there was a guy called Edward Deming who went over to Japan and inserted quality, statistical control methods. Quality in is quality out, 0 defects. And so one of the tools that is used in doing that is called the Ishikawa fishbone diagram. So what you start with is maybe ops, logs, plans, staff, right? And then under each one of these, it could be training was inefficient, or you don't have the right numbers. logs is you didn't have the right equipment. You know, and you keep narrowing it down, and you rule things out. You just throw everything up here and you rule things out until you find where your problem is. So that's an example of doing a root cause analysis. And there's more out there. You have to look it up.
And that's good when there's multiple factors.
Right.
Or that's more linear as to, you know, one thing led to another.
Right, exactly, thank you. And there's others out there, and I have my team actually, I give them an understanding of that in case those tools are needed. Sometimes it's just obvious that it just didn't get done. Johnny forgot to do the task. It happened. But why? You know, why did Johnny forget? Did Johnny have too much to do? So, wow, hey, that was quick. So we talked about how to analyze data. We talked about some tools to analyze that data. And any questions on that? I think that's the fastest lesson I've ever taught. I feel like I need to drag it out, but I know you guys want to go. So we're going to talk about lesson 4, after action report, the draft. Dun, dun, dun. So we're going to talk about the purpose and the elements and the review process. And we pretty much follow this process. So first off, what is an after action report?
Best practices.
You know, we have what you did right, which you didn't do right. Those are parts of it. What else do you think would be part of that? Recommendations? Sure, certainly. So we're probably, you'll see, so on that website I pointed you to, there's templates there. I include some things that are not necessarily in the template. For example, I'll do an executive summary up front. I don't think that's in there. It used to be in the old template. I don't think it's in a new one, which is basically a one-pager of what we did, what the capabilities were, what the objectives were, and overall performance. So a one-page snapshot of the rest of the report, essentially. And then I've got a sample I'll show you. And then you're going to identify who the players were, you know, what were the capabilities that were tested, what were the objectives, what were the dates, what were the conditions, what was the scenario, right? So all of that will go into this. And, you know, we talked about the ratings, how you met, not met with challenges. That'll be in there. And length, format, and development time frame, the AR depends on the exercise type and scope. True, all right, that's true. A 4-hour after-action report, you could probably have that written, and depending on, you know, if it's internal, are you working with different partners, and who has to review it before you get to the after-action meeting. You might be able to clear in 30 days. With a large multi-jurisdictional exercise, it may take you 90 days. You know, and I'll tell you what will happen. It will get to your boss's desk, and it'll sit there. So it might be 120 days. Okay. But typically, my team, we try to have the draft and the after-action report meeting by the 60-day mark. That's an artificial target for us. And then once we have the after-action meeting, additional coordination goes on in that meeting. So there might be some tweaks or some clarifications, but then you move pretty quickly to the final version from there. So that gives you a kind of a reference, time frame reference of where you could be. And there's no hard and fast. Now your organization may have some hard and fast. You know, our organization at one point in time, 3 years ago, the hard and fast was you're going to have your final after-action report within 30 days of the full-scale exercise. I flat out told them, I've been doing this for years and that's never happened. You are not gonna get there. Because it takes time for your evaluators to come up with, they took notes, but they need to formalize those notes. And they need to do their analysis and come up with the right supporting material and make sure they have all the evidence. So that takes time. And then it all has to be consolidated and has to be reviewed by the team first before you put it out to anybody else to review. It takes time. So eventually we got that changed. So kind of what I said, we've got the exercise overview, the analysis of the core capabilities, and if there's any appropriate appendices. So we always have the improvement plan in there. That's just a given for us. We always list the participants because everybody wants credit, right? I don't want to participate in an exercise if I can't claim credit for it. Okay, guess what? Instead of doing this activity, what I want to do is walk you through an after-action report. So, let me... Alright, so this was our grant-required strategic national stockpile exercise that occurred in 2015.
November.
So we have our leadership actually sign these. So here's our handling instructions. You can see it's marked on classified. It's a public document. Our lead planner and exercise co-director, lead evaluator, table of contents, executive summary, kind of what I talked about. So take a look at the summary real quick. It'll give you a little bit of the flavor of what this exercise was about. And this again was a multi-jurisdictional. Here's an overview, name, time, full scale, dates, locations. Here's our participating organizations. So quite a few people, or agencies. Our mission area. Here's our capabilities. Scenario type, bioweapons release. And then our analysis of capabilities. You see perform with challenge, without challenges. Here's a case where we just did not evaluate the social media part of this. So now we go into the individual objectives that fall under the appropriate capabilities. You see your strengths. And let me tell you, if you put a strength in there, you don't necessarily have to put an analysis in, but we like to put an analysis in, to explain why we thought this was a strength. So we have some strengths here. Here's an area for improvement. So we do an area for improvement. Let me walk through this a little bit. So, area of improvement, and we give it a short title. EM resource failure, okay? And then here's our analysis. Okay, that's how this particular evaluator assessed this. And then as a team, we came up with what we thought were the appropriate recommendations. Okay, so then we move to objective 3, strengths. Strengths, strengths, another area of improvement. There's a numbering protocol that you can see that makes it easier for us to track back to. So, and you'll notice, we include the reference in there. Now, sometimes I like to get it down to the page number. Sometimes I bring it down to the paragraph number. But at least have the reference. All right. All right, here's our improvement plan, right? So we've had our areas of improvement, our strengths, and now we've moved those things into this table. And this is part of what we do during our after-action meeting is, we make sure everybody's in agreement with the recommendations, right? So those recommendations now become the corrective action. Here's the area for improvement. The short title, remember I showed you the short title before, and the numbering protocol, right? So, capability element, organized, sometimes it's plans, sometimes it's training, sometimes it's equipping. Primary responsible organization, DOH. We don't assign names, we assign positions. Names change. Or that name may move into another position in the same office. But that's not my job anymore. So we assign by a position, and we say, hey, when are you going to start this, and how long do you think it's going to take? And then we track whether or not they execute in that time frame. And things happen. Hurricanes happen. Things get pushed off. Yes, sir.
In organizations where the job title is not reflective of what the person actually does, what do you do? So, like a government operations consultant, where that's such a broad term. You know?
Well, so you'll see, and let me scroll down a little bit more. You'll see that it is an official position within our bureau, or position that is other than the government GOC3. You know, some other than that. I may be a GOC3, but my role is that.
Got it.
So whoever's filling that role, that's your monkey, and that's your circus now. So state SNS coordinator, we all know who that is, regardless of the name change. Let's see, so. And you can see we're up to page 28, and this is a relatively good exercise. You know, but you know, you follow the template, automatically you're at 10 pages just if you use the template. And then we add stuff in there like the executive summary. And then a lot of people will, you get to the end, and we don't, typically don't. We'll add photos in there at the end. They may add other things as well. I want to use the word evidence, but documents that were used to support findings, they could be attached there as well.
Where did you get this template?
The template you pull off of that website I showed you to, which was the preptoolkit.org. It's a FEMA website. So all these forms you can pull off. A lot of them, you know, they'll give you the chart, for example, the table. Obviously, it's not going to be filled in. You're going to have to fill it in. They'll give you generic words in the document that you'll have to tweak to suit your organization. So, but it's all the core elements are there. Yes, sir.
So we use it, incredibly easy. You download it, you plug and play.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
there's even comments and guides and stuff to kind of walk you through what everything is. I
That
mean,
or
it's
what you
super
talked
for this, for the doc. Everything you download, there's something that supports it. That if you're not sure what goes in this box, there's something you can, it's
It's,
incredibly easy to just kind of follow.
sometimes we have problems with the table, populating the table, especially when you're adding recommendations. And so you've got, let me show you here. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time on this, but I did want you to see this and breathe it just a little bit. I think this actually adds some value for you. So here we go. We've got EPI, we've got area for improvement, right? And then we have two. And then, but if you have a third one, it gets a little difficult to manipulate the table because then you're adding another row, but it's under here and it's formatting is a little tricky. That's all. Not impossible. I'm able to do it. You know, I'm the guy that when computers first came out, it was you needed to know the DOS command, C prompt / You know, so nowadays you Google, wonderful thing, right?
So is that particular document, is the table in Excel format, or is it a editable PDF, or?
It comes, I believe it's a Word document.
Take a roll call.
And yeah, it is. It's a Word table
Okay.
in there.
Is there a signature thing
So we've talked about after action reports. Any questions or thoughts on that? Do you think you'll have any challenges with that? The hardest part is wordsmithing the analysis and having the evidence. So what we used to do, and we still do, is I ask my folks to say, what happened? Why did it happen? What should have happened? And what does the policy say? And sometimes I would make them quote the policy. So then there's no question. And then if you have photographic evidence or other documentation, you can refer to that in the back as an appendix to this. So, all right. If no questions then, we need to check time. How about we take a quick 10-minute break? The next module is going to go pretty quick. In the meantime, as we take a break, you might want to start making sure that your forms are filled out. I've got some more forms to give you. Start loosening up your area because I know you guys want to get out of here. So but let's take a quick 10-minute break and 9-minute break, and let's be back at 42.